morning, everyone, and welcome to the Hillbilly Chicken Ranch. I'm Susan. I'm your hostess, and it is kind of early this morning. I have pulled cream off my raw milk that we purchased not too long ago. There's still a layer of cream. You can barely see it in this video, but it's there. I promise you. There's still some cream in this milk. And I have poured it off. And I've got it in this bucket. Okay, you're going to need a bowl with a strainer or a colander in it, and you're going to need some kind of cotton cloth to put your butter in to wring it out to get all the buttermilk out of it. And you are going to need some kind of bowl or ramekin to put your butter in to mold it. And I always line mine with plastic wrap because mine usually ends up in the freezer before. And most recipes will tell you to put 2 cups in. I'm going to go ahead and see how much this will hold because I have a lot. I've got 4, 5. We have 6 cups. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour this back into my bucket, and I'm only going to do 3 cups at a time. I got a little more than 3 cups. It's 3.5 cups. We'll start with that. And you're simply going to make sure that your lid is attached. I do suggest getting a food processor that has the silicone seal on it because you're working with liquids. I'm going to turn on my processor and I'm going to hit high. Okay, we've reached a stage, we're almost at whipping cream stage. Can y'all see that? Bring you in closer. We've reached pretty much whipping cream stage, and at this point you would add a little bit of sugar to your whipping cream to make the stiff peaks, but we're going to continue on until it becomes separated and starts to yellow. Okay, we have the fat is separating from the milk, and we're getting closer to having butter. We're going to continue on. Sometimes you have to scrape it from the sides. I've scraped it a few times, but the closer it gets to butter, the more you'll be scraping. Okay, I wanted to show you this angle because we are starting to see more butter. That's your butter, y'all. We're going to continue on and let this come to a ball, or when the butter is all conglomerated together, then we're going to drain the buttermilk off and we're going to rinse our butter. Poured off some more. I poured off the buttermilk. Getting the last little bit of butter off of this old t-shirt that was cut up, and we're going to get as much of that butter into our mold And the rag will go into the trash because you don't want to put that greasy rag through your washer and dryer. It could cause a fire, so we don't want to do that. So I have gotten quite a bit of butter out of that 6 cups. We're going to clean this mess up. There's your butter, y'all. You want to block the top of it because there's still might be some cream left in there. So you just want to kind of blot the top just a little bit. And then I just fold my plastic wrap over the top. And you can set a plate on top of that if you want to. It's really not necessary. But that is a full bowl of butter. And that's going to go in the refrigerator. And we will use that. You can freeze this. You know, take it out. Once it's hardened up, you pull the whole thing out, leave it wrapped, and double bag it, put it in your freezer. And you will have fresh butter. This is actually a really good science project for your homeschool kids. I'm sitting and relaxing in my living room. A lot of my video did not take today, and I want to make sure that you understand all the steps that it takes to making butter. This is the buttermilk that comes off of your butter. So this is the secondary product that you're getting from making butter. And it is not like the clabbered milk that you buy in the store. This is sweet milk. You can still drink it. You can use it to bake with. You can use it for a number of things. You always want to start with your cream being cold. I'm using raw milk, and I gather the cream comes to the top of the jar, so I just spooned off the cream. And I'm using that, but you can go to the store and you can buy heavy whipping cream and do the same thing that I'm doing today. And it's pasteurized. If you're scared of raw milk, then you can go that route. There are several methods to making butter, and you don't have to have an old-fashioned churn to do it with. We are living in modern times, y'all. A lot of the old folks would sit in their rocking chairs and they would rock back and forth, and they would shake the jar from side to side and back and forth. They would get their aerobics in making butter, and it was a process, and it was not a short process. You can use a mixer and a bowl, and you want, if you're using a stainless steel bowl, you would want that bowl to be cold at least, and your mixer blades, you would want those to be cold also. I'm using a food processor, and I made sure that I had one that was a quality one with a silicone gasket on it. And with the food processor, you would use 2 cups of cream at a time, where with a mixing bowl you could use maybe 3 or 4, depending on the size of your bowl, and the jar, depending on the size of the jar. There are stages that you're going to see. The first stage would be the whipped cream stage, where it is whipped cream. You can eat it. You can stop there and you have whipped cream, but if you go past that stage, you're on the way to making butter. The separation stage would be where the fat solids begin to separate from the liquids. And you will notice a color change will start happening. It will be a really light yellow at that point. And once you reach the butter stage, you will see that yellow butter that you know and love in the stores. This is the stage where the butter has solidified or it has come together. And at this stage, you would use a strainer, a mesh strainer, with your cheesecloth, layers of cheesecloth, or an old cotton towel, or an old t-shirt that's clean. Any of those will work. And you want to strain your butter from the liquids. And you're going to save the liquids. And this is what we got off of ours. You know, you may not get this much. Sometimes you get more, sometimes you get less. It depends on the cows as to how much butter you will get and how much buttermilk, the sweet buttermilk, not the clever buttermilk that you would get. At this stage, you're going to press your butter with that cloth. You're going to take that cloth and you're just going to kind of wring it and press it to get all that milk that might be left in the butter. You want to get as much of that out. You're going to take your milk and you're going to pour it into a container, and then you're going to go back to your butter and you're going to start rinsing your butter with cold water and repeating the squeezing, you know, to try to get off any more milk that might be on that butter. Then you're going to press it into your mold, whether it's a covered dish or like I did with a saran wrap. You want to have whatever dish it is that you're going to put your butter in ready. And once it's pressed into your mold, you're going to take a paper towel and just tap the top to get any excess milk that might have come up to the top off of your butter, because you do not want your butter to spoil. Now, my plans are to put the butter into the freezer, so I use the plastic wrap method. And once it gets solid, I can take it out of that mold, leave the plastic wrap on it, bag it up, and put it in my freezer. And it's good for several months that way. Or you can just refrigerate it and enjoy it. Either way, you have homemade butter, and there's nothing better than that. It's up to you if you put salt in it or not. I would start with a ½ teaspoon if you wanted to salt your butter, and I would do it at the stage where it begins to separate the liquids from the fat, and just add just a little bit at a time until you taste it like you want it to be. You can also add all kinds of herbs to it, or strawberries. I've seen people use strawberry powder with it, or some kind of fruit powder, and make it a fruit flavored butter. So that, I mean, there's just all kinds of things you can do with this. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something good, and I hope that you will always remember that it's faith over fear. May God bless you and keep you.